All right. Shalom, shalom. Like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kol Haloim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Aquat that's listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson is edifying. So, Brother Shawab, I'm Juan back at you with another lesson. And going into the title, all right, all eyes on you, okay? And, inspiration comes from a video I ran across on Instagram, all right, based on, it was based on a Super Bowl commercial that I actually seen that too. I remember me seeing that on the commercials, but it was in the second half, and I never took it. I never brought it out when I did my video like 2 days ago based on the Super Bowl commercials because I only did the first half of the Super Bowl commercials. It was just too many of them. But I did remember. I remember when I was saying it in the last video that everything that it was being, pushed on those commercials was basically, futuristic. Everything was about what was going to be in the future for security, privacy levels, being exposed, basically that, you're not going to have no privacy. Everything's going to be, connected to a system. All right. And you're going to be watched, which we've always been watched. We're being watched through our phones right now, but, now it has intensified and increased with them, watching from every angle. All right. Which, as a matter of fact, it brings me up to a scripture. Let me grab that real quick. All right. This is Isaiah, I think it is. Yeah, Isaiah 14:14, and it reads, main focal point is the second part of the precept. It says, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. Salakia. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. All right. So we know that this devil is trying to be like the Most High. All right. And with this technology is one of the ways that he's trying to be like Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, because he wants to be able to have all eyes on you from every angle possible, complete control, complete, no privacy at all, just constantly watching you all day long. And this is why they want to be able to have this MOTB, in your body to be able to connect you to that system also, and then he'll have even more eyes on you, you see, to the point where he constantly making a diligent search on your body. Now he's able to track you. Now he's able to, pinpoint your location at all times. Okay. But, this is coming, like, it gets intensified every single day because now they're coming out with more technologies, slicker technologies, they have all these different types of programs. You got the Palantir program that's being used right now. All right. They're using it amongst, these ice cream agents, these police officers, best believe the military already has all that stuff and better. Okay. Remember, what's new to us is it's old to them. Okay. So, the technology's out there and it's been out there. All right. And these devils can watch you from when your phone's turned off. Your phone could be turned off and they could tap into your phone while it's completely shut off and watch you. They're watching you from your TVs, your smart TVs. They're watching you from, you have a camera in your house. All right. They hear everything. They're seeing everything through your camera that you got set up in your house for, for safety purposes, just in case you get robbed or some shit, they're already watching you. So let me grab the video. Okay. Like I said, they were pushing this hard, and there's a couple things that he says in it that was pretty, pretty good. All right. So I'm looking for it right now. Right here.
We are cooked. Did you see this ad at the Super Bowl?
Hold on real quick. Let me just put it on my Bluetooth. Give me 1 second. Bear with me. Let me put it on my my Bluetooth in the car so y'all can hear it clear. So check this out.
Search party for Ring uses AI to help families find lost dogs. So if that don't got you worried, then yo, we are cooked. Did you see this ad at the Super Bowl this weekend? Until now. One post of a dog's photo in the Ring app starts outdoor cameras looking for a match. Search party from Ring uses AI to help families find lost dogs. So if that don't got you worried, then trust me, I'm about to tell you why you should be worried.
And the fact that shit is meant to look for lost dogs as well, you know, because like who cares about a lost dog? There's dogs all over the world that are roaming, you know. So the fact that they're trying to make dogs safe, that's a safe twice, safe, and even cats and animals, period, is already just something that's fishy about it, you see? So check it.
They're just going to use that to find missing puppies in your community, then you are delulu, you are sick in the head. They're going to be accessing your Ring cameras to track you and your community and your movements. We're about to be in a surveillance society with these Ring cameras that almost 90% of everyone now has on their door. This was a plan that they set up for years, and now they're at the goal of having everybody have a Ring camera, and now we're about to be in a...
And I was about to say that everybody got a Ring camera nowadays. Like you can't go nowhere without a Ring camera being somewhere somehow. You know, they have made that shit so popular and made it cheap for you to afford it, you know. And you know, all you got to do is just put it anywhere you want and just be connected to the system. So what you always have been doing is giving them access to see things, all right, even without your permission. You know, now they'll try to tell you, oh, you know, we can't do nothing with your camera unless you give us permission, or, you know, or if we ask you, you got to allow us. But at the end of the day, if they really want to tap into it, they could just watch from the Ring camera any day. Okay. At any time, any given moment. All right. So it's no coincidence that they have made it that popular and everybody has Ring cameras around you. So if you're let's just say in the radius I'm at, everybody around me has Ring cameras. This whole entire spot is pretty much locked down with secure with cameras. You know, there's no way you can hide, run. You know, this person's camera could catch what you're doing, and if you get away from this camera, the next camera will catch you. You see, so that's just Esau and his technology and his system, man. And that's one of the ways that he tries to play, you know, the role of God, basically. You know, because the Lord is the one that has all eyes on us, right? As the scriptures say, the eyes of the Lord are upon the sinful kingdom, you know, beholding the good and the evil. So the Lord is constantly watching with his angels. But see, he always wants to do exactly what the Lord does, and his manner, and his humanity, in his humanic ways, I want to say, if that's even a word. All right. But, you know, he's always trying to keep that watch on everything. All right.
Surveillance state, and they don't even have to put the cameras up. You already put them up for them. Listen, we are in the matrix, and then they're pushing for a cashless society. Cash will soon be obsolete in America. Are you ready? So let this sink in for a second. They can digitally track all the money that you're spending, and they can track all your movements. So what's going to happen when you do something or say something they don't like? They're going to know exactly where you are and shut down your account so you can't spend a dime. You need to wake up and see what's happening right now. Like, hear me out. They're trying to turn this society
to wake up and smell the coffee, man. You see, and the prophets have been telling you this for years, you know. Elders and apostles been telling you this for triple the years, you know, 40 years going on or better, that these things will have come at one point, and they're here. You see, like he said, you know, the fact that they're trying to connect you to an RFID, a cashless society, and then they have all this surveillance around us at all times, you know, it's made to go hand in hand, because once you're connected to that system with that RFID, all right, they're gonna have a social credit score system, right? They have the universal basic income. Okay, these are the things that they wanted you to be, you know, thinking that it was convenience, all right, but it's made to, you know, connect to their system and watch you. Because, you know, here it is, you get an UBI, right? Universal basic income. You're getting all this money in, and you're depending on this government and on this system to give you that money. All right. You don't have to work. They made it feel good. It made you feel good. You can stay at home and collect a paycheck. But here it is, the social credit system. If you're doing something that they don't like, your credits go down, right? Your credits go down. It shows that, you know, you're a problem in society. And now, because you're connected to the system, like you said, they can see you doing something that they don't like, and don't automatically just cut you off with their money, you know, off the money. You know, they turn off your CHIP, okay, and your ass won't be able to, you know, buy nothing at the store. You won't be able to sell nothing. You see, it all goes hand in hand. All right. This is why they want the digital IDs, to be able to, you know, pinpoint your biometrics. That's why you go on Instagram now. They want you to take a fucking 6-minute photo, you know, 6-second photo for you to give it to them and show your biometrics of your face. Because that's what happens on my Instagram. Like when I download videos, because I'll download videos to use them for like video productions, and when I download them, they'll kick me off, and it's like, and it shows that someone hacked into my shit. Somebody in another state is hacking into my thing. And then what it does is it kicks me off completely off of Instagram. And then once it kicks me off of Instagram, when I go to log back in, it always asks me, can I take a picture, a 6-second picture, or even a video of yourself, you know, and you have to turn your face to the left, your face to the right, look in the front, you know, dead center. And what it's really doing is just doing the biometrics on your face. They do the same thing with YouTube. When I go to post, I can only post about 5 different videos. And then like by the 6th, 7th one, it'll tell me I can't post no more for the day. And then it tells me the only way I can continue is if I take a picture of myself, you see, or if I give a video or I show my ID. Like, why do they want all that information? Why? Because it's all going into the system. It's all part of the biometrics, you know? So they have they know exactly what you look like. They're going to pinpoint exactly what with your biometrics. They're able to see, all right, this person, Moses, was there, because when it comes up on the screen, all right, it's like, that's my real name. But when it comes up on the screen that you're walking past, they already have the information of your biometrics. So then all those little dots, them quantum dots that they'll be using, they'll pretty much come into the system and match up, and they'll pinpoint that, oh, that was that person that just passed by. You see, that shit is crazy as hell, man, that they could just detect where you're at any place. You know, these are the technologies that this devil has, as the scriptures say, you know, by the means of those miracles, he deceived them by the means of those miracles. You know, these people, when they hear Esau talking about his system, he make it sound good. You know, he make it sound like he making all these miracles happen. Like, wow, this is amazing technology. But all the means of those miracles is to destroy you, man. Is to, you know, catch you in their system and catch you and draw you into their net. Okay.
Bunch of people. Society to a bunch of people who are controlled. They don't want you to own anything. They want to rent you everything, so they have full control. They want to track your movements, and they want to track your spending. We are on the last few years for you to have a real opportunity to create generational wealth and exit the matrix before you be trapped in the system forever. And it all starts with financial literacy and fixing your credit. We got 5 negative items deleted for this client. This client up 70 points, now in the 800 club. Comment credit on this post if you're ready for change, because soon you're going to miss the opportunity.
And he sounds stupid when he says that this is the last few years. First of all, we ain't even got years. And it's stupid for you to even say that, you know, for you to try to gain generational wealth, because it makes no sense to have generational wealth if the dollar's devaluing every single day. Every single day that you wake up, the dollar is devaluing and is losing itself, because the money's about to be vanished out here, man. So when people out here, you know, selling their souls for money, when these people out here trying to make, you know, a 10-year plan, you know, for their money, retirement plans, all that shit is nonsense because the dollar's about to collapse. So what the hell, what kind of generational wealth you gonna have? You know, you gonna have, that's why that shit is called monopoly money, man. All right. These dollar bills, and it really looks like monopoly money. When you look at monopoly money on the monopoly board playing the actual game, you see that it has different colors. And when you look at the dollars throughout the years, they always changed in those certain type of colors. You know, if you really look at it, just go look up on YouTube or go look up on Google. All right, the history of color on money. You'll see that it really looks like the exact money that you were playing with when you play on that little monopoly game, board game. So it's monopoly money, meaning it shit ain't real. It never existed. All right, it was a piece of paper that had people going crazy for, you know, because at the end of the day, the real riches is what, you know, gold and silver, and eventually gold and silver, as it tells you in Ezekiel the 7th chapter, shall be cast into the streets, meaning that it's just going to be thrown. It's going to have no value neither. Okay. The system to come is a new system. So all those things, all right, are part of the old system. It's part of the old world order. Okay. They're going to get rid of all of that because they have a new world order that's coming into play. So in order for that to drop, they have to get rid of all that old stuff, man. So none of it's going to have any more value. It ain't even going to be antiques. It's not like back in the day when something is old, it becomes an antique and, you know, it's worth money. Nah, it ain't going to be like that. All right. Because everything is going to be destroyed out here. They're going to pretty much destroy the evidence. All right. And eventually, you know, when the system is set up, the Lord is only going to allow this devil to eat for so long. All right. And as the scripture saying, Job 20, right, when he's about to fill up his belly and the fullness of his sufficiency, right, the Lord is going to pretty much lift that standard up against them. OK. But yeah, that man, listen, man, the privacy levels is wild right now. OK. And as a matter of fact, now that I brought that out, it reminds me of this other video I came across. Let me see if I see it real quick.
Now, a dispatcher can text the caller a message asking them for permission to use their cell phone camera to see the situation
This goes hand in hand with it too, because this is the same thing as basically with these Ring cameras. Your phone also is a Ring camera if you want to look at it like that. All right, because it's connected. It's just a damn bar basically. It's a screen that's just connected to the system. All right, and it has a camera on it, and that's exactly what the Ring camera is. The only thing with the Ring camera is that you can't scroll, you can't touch it and bring up the internet and browse through it. No, but it does the same exact feature of it's just a screen that has a damn camera on it and it's connected to the Wi-Fi. And as long as you're connected to the Wi-Fi, they're able to tap into that source at any given moment, you see? But let's check this out.
Dispatcher can text the caller a message asking them for permission to use their cell phone camera to see the situation in real time. Callers can also send in photos. Tampa Police Chief Lee Burkhoff says that information can even be shared to responding officers. They will also have access to voice-activated policy guidance with official citations, along with access to more than 50 language translations. Using their body-worn cameras.
Identified Portuguese that we were fighting, and my boyfriend took my car and left.
Now, a dispatcher can text the caller a message asking them for permission to use their cell phone camera to see the situation in real time. Callers can also send in photos. Tampa Police Chief Lee Burkhoff says that information can even be shared to responding officers. They will also have access to voice-activated policy guidance with official citations, along with access to more than 50 language translations. Using their body-worn cameras.
Identified Portuguese that we were fighting, and my boyfriend took my car and left.
Now, a dispatcher can text the
clock. I played that twice. I thought it was, but that's wild, yo. All these little features they could do with cameras, man. Okay. There's another one when you go into it, right? I was speaking to one of the brothers the other day, and it was weird. See, this is why you have to Be circumspect, redeeming the times, because the days are evil, man. We're in weird times, man. A lot of weird shit is happening. All right. Like, because the other day I was talking to one of the brothers, and when I was talking to the brother, we was talking about coins. And then all of a sudden, when I was in the middle of me talking to him about coins, while I was texting and we was making a joke about it, all of a sudden, on my end, on my phone, a whole website of coins comes up, exactly of what we were talking about. And it was funny because me and the brother was talking about that's Esau listening in on us and kind of mocking us. He was kind of mocking what we were saying, because the exact thing that we were talking about came up on my screen out of nowhere, like randomly. And I had just finished saying, he just finished telling me what he bought, you know, and he had bought something. And then I was like, yeah, man, maybe I should go buy something, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, boom, it popped up. And I'm like, yo, this shit crazy. And I, you know, said it to him. He was like, yo, that's crazy as hell. You know, he was like, Esau listening, he mocking us, you know. It's just, that's how you know they're constantly on your phone. Then he was telling me how his phone's been bugging out, you know. He was scrolling through his phone, and then all of a sudden he stopped, and then the phone kept scrolling by itself, you know, doing some weirdo shit, you see? So Esau, especially us that's in this truth, Esau watching our phones at all times, man, okay? He on every single damn thing that you're doing, he's on top of it, okay? He want to know what you watching, what you typing, you know, how you're breathing on the phone, you know, who you talking to, all of that. And they trace all that shit back, and they, you know, they put it into their system. Okay. So yeah, he said, Khan, same things been happening to me with it. Yeah, man. I'm telling you, this is why we got to be on top of shit, bro. You know, and just, you know, got to keep staying prayed up. All right. And at the end of the day, you can't get around it. So it's like F Esau at the end of the day, you know, watch me all you fucking want. Like if you haven't been watching me before that, you know, because the Lord, he knows who already kind of had, I want to say, like, not saying that he knows that you're the elect, because none of us know who is of the elect yet. You know, we kind of have we kind of figure it out, put things together. But, you know, they have been making a diligent search on us anyway since we were born, you know, and I believe those that are of the elect are different from everybody else, you know, especially just Israelites, period, are different from everybody else. But if you're of the elect, you definitely gonna have a certain type of vibe and aura when you're born, you know. So that's why, you know, they always make you go to the doctors and they draw your blood, and they, you know, they're making diligent searches basically since you're born, you know, with all these different ways of, you know, doctors. And when you're in school, they taking data on your ass, believe it or not. Best to believe that. So they already kind of know, you know, who's Israelite for sure, who's Israelites. All right. And basically what I want to say is they've been watching you since you've been a kid, man. They've been watching to see, you know, what type of person you've been. All right. They ain't watching none of these damn heathens, man. The fuck they get worried about these heathens for? They worried about the elect. They worried about you Israelites like they always been. So, you know, they've been on top of you since you've been born, basically. All right. But hold on. Let me grab this this other video I had. It's called give me 1 second. I gotta find it real quick. It's oh, there it is. It's called Flock's new AI system. All right, check this out. This is a random ass video I came across on YouTube. And I didn't even find this on Instagram or nothing. It just like literally came up. It came
Safety
up.
Safety has recently quietly rolled out a new feature that turns their.
It came up out of nowhere on my fucking on my feed, and it was mad interesting. Hold on.
Gun gunshot detection microphone. Flock Safety has recently quietly rolled out a new feature that turns their gunshot detection microphones into constant human conversation surveillance. In this video, I will cover the new feature and why privacy experts are begging cities to rip these things down before it's too late. So first, let me briefly explain what Flock Safety actually is. You've probably seen the cameras in your neighborhood. They're automated license plate readers that sit on poles and record every car that drives by. They're in over 6,000 communities across the US, but recently they released something called the Raven system. These are high-powered microphones that originally were supposed to detect gunshots and alert the police. However, in October of this past year, Flock announced something called distress detection. Their microphones can now listen for sounds of human distress like screaming or wailing and automatically alert the cops. These also aren't regular microphones. They're described as high-powered microphones parked above densely populated city streets, and that means that they can pick up conversations from far away, even in noisy environments. Unlike a camera that just shows you walking by, audio captures everything, the actual words you're saying and the emotion in your voice. Your voice gives away much more than people think. Voice data can expose your age, gender, health conditions, personality traits, and emotional states. Companies have literally patented technology that figures out your health problems just by analyzing how you talk to your smart speaker. This audio can also be used to build a profile on you, where you go and who you're with. When this data gets stored, it also creates a huge target for hackers. Voice recordings can be used for identity theft and voice cloning. Now, here's where it gets really messy. Most states have laws against.
And now that I see that, right? Hold on. Check out what he said. That's crazy that he said that voice recordings could be used for hackers and shit like that. Yo, check this out. Deadass. This is how weird our times are. Let me go back into Instagram real quick, because that shit just reminded me of how it could go hand in hand with each other. They doing this on Instagram. They showing you shit like this on Instagram, and people doing this shit for real. They could commit crimes. Remember, everything's like a Hollywood. All right. So in Hollywood, you could put on a mask and look like a whole different person. Okay. So if you could look like a whole different person connected with all this AI technology, all right, you could commit crimes and get away with it and make it look like it was somebody else. This is going to be a form of how they're going to be able to persecute men of the Lord. Best believe if they got masks like this that I'm about to show you, yo, I wouldn't doubt it. They got masks of people looking like us, you know, because with all this biometric shit that they constantly watching us on, you know, on YouTube, all of that, man, they know what our faces look like, you see, and they might create things like this. Check this out.
I don't think y'all understand how dangerous this is. Do you see how realistic this mask looks? Anybody could put one of these masks on, rather Caucasian or brown skin, go rob a bank, and whole time it's somebody else of another ethnicity under the mask. Somebody could put a mask on of a brown skin man, go in any hood and start letting off shots. Whole time it wasn't a brown skin man. Do y'all get where I'm going with this? No matter if these are Halloween masks or not, these joints look so realistic. Bad enough we gotta worry about AI. Shit's getting real scary out here, to the point you can't 100% believe what you see. But motherfuckers gonna fall for it anyway. It's time for a lot of y'all to start waking up, because there's really some deceiving shit going on. But hey, who am I?
And that's Salakia. That was and that's just one of them. I got like 3 different videos and they just bugged out. I'm like, yo, that shit looks so real. And they've been doing that since I think like 2 years ago, when they had all these this shit that was going on with the with the Capitol, you know, on January 6th. You know, people were rioting, and you know, a lot of these agent provocateurs, you know, they'll come and drop, you know, weapons in your hood. Leave it there, leave it as a little trap to see who's gonna fucking go over there and start grabbing shit and causing trouble with it, ruckus with it, you see? So when you see things like that, right? Not too long ago, they had these people doing all types of riots and looting. People were getting caught, and actually were finding out that people were putting on masks to make themselves look like Jake, to make it look like blacks and Hispanics were the ones causing, the looting and the rioting, when it was actually a bunch of straight Edomites just doing shit like this, man. You see, this is the times that we in. And I best believe, man, if they can do masks like that, what makes you think they can't make a mask of someone looking like one of the men of the Lord, man? Like dead ass. Think about it. They can make any of y'all look, they can make anything, any of these masks look like you people, like you brothers out there, you sisters, okay? Because we're constantly exposing ourselves on Instagram. We're constantly exposing ourselves on YouTube as men of the Lord, because that's what we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to hide our faces, all right? But hey, you got to put two and two together. They can do some crazy nonsense with this AI voice changing and take people's voices and record. They could put all that together and put it all into a mask, and make you look crazy, man. Remember, he is the accuser of our brethren. So he going to try to find ways to accuse us and make us look bad. All right. So that's why I just thought about that real quick when I was bringing out this other video. All right. Let me go back to that video.
They're called eavesdropping or wiretapping laws. In states like California, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, those states have laws against. When this data gets stored, it also creates a huge target for hackers. Voice recordings can be used for identity theft and voice cloning. Now, here's where it gets really messy. Most states have laws against recording private conversations without consent. They're called eavesdropping or wiretapping laws. In states like California, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and Illinois, you need everyone's permission to record a conversation. Breaking these laws can get you fined $2,500 per violation or even thrown in jail.
Yeah, you got to get permission if it's like me recording somebody like my neighbor, but the government don't need no damn permission. The government is the permission basically, because they the ones that created the system. They the ones that have this technology out there without you even realizing. So what kind of fucking permission you need to ask if you already got the damn system and technology out there without people realizing it, So that don't even make sense, man. At the end of the day.
But in these cases, nobody really knows if these laws apply on Flock's microphones yet. The government isn't part of your conversation, but they're recording you anyways. The courts haven't figured this out. And even in places where recording might be legal, you're supposed to let people know they're being recorded either way. There likely aren't going to be signs on every street corner warning you that you're being recorded. The other issue is that Flock's gunshot detection already has massive problems. Car backfires get mistaken for gunfire. Fireworks trigger false alerts. According to the Illinois Village Trustee, over 99% of Flock's alerts don't result in any police action. Now imagine applying that same broken technology to human voices. What counts as distress? Potentially kids playing and yelling on the playground, actors rehearsing a scene, someone cheering at a sports game, someone crying about bad news. The system has no way of telling the difference. This also isn't just annoying, it's dangerous. In Chicago, a similar gunshot detection system called ShotSpotter sent police to what they thought was active gunfire. A child got shot at by officers responding to a false alarm. Now imagine that happening because the system thought someone screaming at a concert was in distress, or potentially because kids were playing too loud. Police show up thinking there's an emergency, and suddenly a normal situation becomes dangerous. There's also a bigger issue here. The First Amendment protects your rights to speak freely, but when you know microphones are listening and analyzing your emotional state, you start watching what you say. Maybe you don't want to have that loud conversation about politics. Maybe you keep your voice down when talking about something controversial. That's called the chilling effect, and it kills free speech. Schools and public spaces naturally have loud, passionate conversations, and that's totally normal. But now these conversations might be triggering police alerts. The Electronic Frontier Foundation called this feature a whole new can of unforeseen legal, civil liberties, and even bodily safety consequences. They're telling cities to cancel their Flock contracts before people get hurt. The ACLU has been tracking Flock's expansion into surveillance tech, noting that they have now solar-powered video cameras, drones, and audio detection hardware. It's a full surveillance system, and some cities are showing no listen. Evanston, Illinois,
that's
canceled
another
their
thing,
Flock.
man. Do you know how many drones? What the fuck, man? It ain't nothing but Esau right there. You over here putting black screens and music behind my shit. All right. So that's another thing that they have is drones. Do you know how many drones they got out there? You know, we're not even talking about big drones that you see in the sky. Do you know how many little drones they got out there that you don't even know about, the size of flies? You know, they could have a drone the size of a mosquito. Okay, literally, this is if they could create a RFID with millions of coils in it to connect. You know, because when you look, if you ever have time, go on Google and go look up what it looks like inside of a RFID C-HIP. That shit, excuse me, that shit is wild. Like when you see how much technology is in there and it's so small and you're like, yo, how did they get all those coils, all that shit in there? You know, it just makes no sense. So if you have all that technology in there, imagine what they can do with the technology of something the size of a mosquito, and you could barely see a mosquito, man. So best believe that they have certain technologies like that. You know, are they constantly out there? Nah, but they're gonna, you know, they're gonna be coming out more and more. Okay, because that's the times that we're in. We're in the time of what? Technology. You know, this NWO is all based on new technology that you ain't never hear about. All right, old to them, but it's new to us. Okay, so you know they. As a matter of fact, you had Kill Gates that dropped. I think it was about 3 years ago. He dropped it was a bunch of mosquitoes that he had dropped on a bunch of people down. I think it was like in Mississippi or somewhere around there. They had dropped a bunch of mosquitoes where people were at. It was a large number of people. And then people started bugging out after the plane came and passed. All of a sudden people was itching, you know, they was going wild. And they were claiming that something dropped from the plane. And then they realized all of a sudden it was just a bunch of mosquitoes everywhere and things like that, which there was a article, I did a video on it, and they were basically talking about genetically modified mosquitoes were dropped on them. To genetically modify them, that means that shit is pretty much technology. You see, it's made through technology. I'm sure there was a couple real ones in the mix, but everything else was just technology. And those were pretty much little drones. You see, they're not going to tell you all that information because then people are on the watch for it. But with the times that we're in, that things are being so exposed, all right, and the Lord is increasing the knowledge of people, okay, even if they're not of the elect, knowledge is still being increased. See, we're just being increased with the knowledge, wisdom of and understanding of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai more than everybody else. But still, knowledge itself is being increased in today's society, okay, on the left-hand side and on the right-hand side. So a lot of people, you know, even Esau's tongue is falling upon them, where you have people come out and expose and tell you, yeah, these people got technology as small as mosquitoes and they're using it to watch us. You know, you could be at a certain spot at a barbecue or some shit, just chilling, and this particular damn mosquito bothering the shit out of you, you know, and you thinking it's just a normal mosquito, but that shit is actually something watching you, you know, and they're over there controlling it with a drone controller. Like, you see, that's why it's scary the times that we're in. You know, I mean, we're not supposed to be in the spirit of fear, and we're not going to be in the spirit of fear. But what I'm saying is it's just scary times of the technology wise, man, because technology, we don't know what Esau has in store. You know, we know the intents of his heart. We know he has technology, but see, he hasn't rolled all that shit out yet. So who knows what he gonna roll out next at the end of the day. That's why we just keep being watchmen, because we'll know by what, you know, articles come out, what comes out of his mouth, you know, and then we'll kind of piece it together. But let me finish this.
Cities are starting to listen. Evanston, Illinois canceled their Flock contract and ordered the equipment removed. When Flock mysteriously put the cameras back up, the city sent them a cease and desist letter and literally covered the cameras with black tape. 2 members of Congress launched an investigation into Flock last year. They looked at how the company enables invasive surveillance practices that threaten the privacy, safety, and civil liberties of women, immigrants, and vulnerable Americans. Flock's response claims that their system uses unbiased algorithms that are continually improving. They say it helps victims get faster police response and preserves evidence. But notice what they don't say. They don't explain how the technology actually works, they don't share accuracy rates, and they don't tell you how long they keep your voice recordings or who has access to them. Here's the bottom line.
Exactly, and they're not gonna keep on telling you that, because that's for them to know. That's the part where they're gonna use to play the role of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. You see, they don't need to tell you that. They'll tell you that the technology's there, but that's all you need to know. You know, you don't need to know how it works, where we're running it from. You know, and another good movie to watch is called Snowden. If you ever seen that movie, that's a heavy movie. That's a true story, actually, and he actually works for Putin now. He works for the for Russia. He had to leave the United States because they were pretty much looking to kill him, you know. And what he did was expose what was going on with America and how they were pretty much watching people through the phones, doing all types of weirdo shit through your TV. You know, when he would speak, he had to put his phone in the damn microwave, man. He didn't turn on the microwave, but when you have the microwave, the way it's created, it actually, you know, it doesn't allow frequencies to come in, basically, you know. So he had to hide his actual telephone in the microwave when he spoke. It's almost like that's what we got to do nowadays, you know, so they don't be in your damn conversation. But, you know, leave it to Esau. He'll find a way.
If your city has Flock's Raven system, there are microphones listening to you right now. They're recording your voice, your conversations, your emotional state, and the data is being stored somewhere. It could be hacked. It could be misused. It could trigger false police responses that put you in danger. And the worst part is that most people don't know this is happening. No one asked for permission, and there likely aren't warning signs around these microphones. This is mass audio surveillance in public spaces, and it's spreading to thousands of cities without any real debate on whether we want it. Cities need to demand answers before deploying this stuff. How accurate is it? What's the false positive rate? How long is audio stored? Who can access it? What happens if these systems get hacked?
Hold on, I got a quick precept that I'm thinking about. This is Psalm 64. All right, Psalm 64 and 4, and it reads 5. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? Okay, that's their mentality, man. They're always plotting, always scheming, doing something they don't need to be doing, right? And their mentality is who's gonna see me? You see, because why he's on that you know that God complex, right? He thinks he's God, so he thinks that nobody can see him because nothing is above him, you know. But see, he doesn't even realize, you know, the Lord got him in strong delusion, you know, because the Lord was recording everything. The angels are watching everything, you know. That's why when we come to give you your judgment, when the Lord comes to give you your judgment, you're going to be guilty on all charges. There's not going to be any way for you to get around it, because the Lord's been watching you this whole entire time, man. Okay. It says they search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. Yeah. You know, both the inward thought of everyone. They're constantly on top of you, bro. You know, it says, but Yahweh shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. All right. And that's the beauty of it, that the Lord has made the tongue fall upon themselves. That's what exposes them and allows us to know what's going on. You know, we might not be able to know exactly what technology you got in store in the back room. All right. But we know that you got all types of wicked devices, and we're not ignorant to Satan's devices. You see, that's why us being as men of the Lord, you have to be on your best behavior, you know, that the ministry be not blamed, because anything can be used against us at any moment. Okay. They could take anything we've been doing and turn that shit around and make it look like complete chaos, you know, to the ministry. All right. But at the end of the day, you know, the Lord is also recording us. So the Lord knows, you know, what we've been doing. Okay. But let's grab that. Let's go back and finish. There's only like a minute left. Not even.
Systems get hacked. We need laws that actually address this. State eavesdropping laws weren't written for government microphones on every corner. We need clear rules about consent, notification, and limits on what these systems can do. And honestly, based on the 99% failure rate and all the privacy concerns, maybe we just don't need this type of technology at all. Please subscribe and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you.
Let me grab this preset, right? Oh my God, what the fuck? Shit, Esau be doing too much, bro. Let's grab 2 Thessalonians, because they mentioned in that one video I was showing you, they mentioned about how it's all going to be connected to the MOTB. All right. And this is why 2 Thessalonians 2:4 says, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God. All right. And this is one of the ways he does that. He exalts himself with his technologies, right? It tells you that in Psalms 10:3. I'll take it from 2. It says, the wicked in his pride does persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. For the wicked boasteth of his heart's desires, and blessed the covetous, whom the Lord Yahweh abhorreth. You see, so he boasts in his technologies, man. He boasts in our faces, all right, with all this, you know, agenda that he's trying to bring in. Okay, and he boasts by letting you know. That's him getting the blood off his hands, you know, which his hands are very bloody regardless, and ain't gonna be able to wash his hands. All right, but in his mind, he thinks that he getting the blood off his hands by telling you what he's about to do, what moves he about to make, and you know, and he basically has the mentality of, all right, well, I told them so. You know, if they don't get it and they get caught up in it, well, it ain't my fault. I gave them the heads up on it. All right. It says the wicked through the pride of his countenance will not seek after Yahweh. Yahweh is not in all his thoughts. And that's why, all right, he makes himself to look like he is the Most High. All right. Because Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai is not in all his thoughts. So what does he do? He opposes and exalts himself. Okay. And that's why he's about to meet his fall, because when you exalt yourself, it's only a matter of time before you fall. All right. Pride come before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. Right. It says, who opposes and exalts himself, back at 2 Thessalonians 2:4, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped. And that's what he really wants you to do. He wants you to worship him. You see, because his funky ass ain't know how to worship the Lord in the beginning. All right. And he wanted to give up weak sacrifices. So now he want to call himself trying to have people worship him. Okay. It says, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Right. And how's he going to sit in the temple? It's going to be through his technology, you know, by the means of those miracles sitting in our bodies, because scriptures say, do you not know that ye are the temple of the Lord? So we're the temple of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. The temple is basically within us. Okay, so he's gonna sit in your temple subdermally, all right, meaning underneath the skin, all right, detecting your every move, detecting your thoughts. Once he gets that technology in your body, man, that's beyond God complex. You see, that's almost like you acting like the Lord, because you know you'll know what I'm thinking. Only the Lord knows what you're thinking. Only the Lord knows how many breaths you take out of your mouth, you know, how many hairs is on your body. You see, but by him taking that technology and putting into it, that's what's going to make him feel like he is God, you know, and then by him having you bow down to his society and his system and worshiping that image, all right, that's what makes him even more feel like he's that God complex. You see? It says, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Okay. And he's going to show it through this system. Okay. He just picture an evil ass laugh as he's setting up his system at the end of the day. Okay, that's exactly how he's coming. You see, and that's how we know we're at the end of this thing, because he's more powerful than he's ever been in his entire life. You see, and something about powerful people, when they're getting away with things and they get their way, that pride just becomes so extra, you know. That's why the tongue falls upon himself, because that's even pride within itself. Oh, I'm gonna tell these niggas what I'm doing. Man, I don't even care. I'm that dude. I'm the man. I'm God. You know. So he's just talking out of his mouth, reckless right now, and that's the Lord that has him under strong delusion, right? Tells you that in the same chapter. When you go down, right, to 7, it says, "For the mystery of iniquity does already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way, and then shall the wicked be revealed." You see, the wicked gonna be revealed. Pretty much, the wicked revealed themselves. We know that Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua revealed them, but with his pride, it was a matter of time before he reveals himself anyway. You know, it says, "Then the wicked shall be revealed, whom the Lord Yahushua shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy him with the brightness of his coming. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan," you see, "with all power and signs and lying wonders." And them lying wonders is things like this, man. Technologies, you know, them words that he speaks, you know, everything he speaks is of convenience and trying to help thee, all right? But as the scriptures say, yet shall he undermine thee, you know. Enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but he imagined how to throw thee into a pit. That's why he's like that. That's why he knows how to use his words. He's a cunning hunter, so he has cunning words also, right, to draw you in. It says, "Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders," you know, going to those miracles, "and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness, and them that perish." You see, all deceivableness, everything is complete evil deception, all right, to fool those that, you know, are on their way to destruction, basically. And the only ones he's going to be able to fool is going to be the elect. The 2/3, not the elect. All right, because the scriptures tell you in Matthew the 24th chapter that if it was possible to deceive the elect, right? What he said. Let's just grab that real quick. And this is where's it at? 23 says, "If any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is a Mashiach, or there, believe it not, for there shall arise false Mashiachs." And these are false Mashiachs, man, because he coming with miracles, right? The Lord came with miracles. Yahushua was doing all types of miracles. So here it is. He's trying to do his miracles through witchcrafts and sorceries, man. So that's a false Mashiach, all right? And false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, you see? So he gonna be showing these great signs of things, and he gonna show you these miracles, these wonders that's gonna have people in the oohs and the ahs, okay? But it says, and great signs and wonders, and so much that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. If it were possible, you see? You're not going to be able to deceive the elect, because surely the Lord will reveal his secrets unto the servants, the prophets. So what's wicked, what's, you know, pretty much done in secrecy, all right, is going to come to the light, because the knowledge and wisdom that we have. So we're able to expose that and discern that. Remember, this word, as it tells you in Hebrews 4 and 12, all right, this word is quick and powerful, more powerful than a two-edged sword, right? Let me just grab it real quick, right? It says 4 and 12 in the Hebrews, and it says, "For this word of Yahweh is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit and the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and in the intents of the heart." So we're able to discern these things because we have this knowledge. Be like, oh, nah, there's something wrong with that. There's something going off on here. This devil up to something. You see? And then because we're able to tell you his next move without him even making it is because why? We have the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. The Lord is revealing those secrets onto us to be able to be like, yeah, he gonna do that next. And it's all filtered through the scriptures. You see? That's why the Lord gave you this knowledge, man, because this knowledge is that manual, that script, all right, that tells you what's gonna happen before it happens. You know, it's like when you ever seen that movie Back to the Future. You see, you had what's his name, Marty. Okay, he had the book. He had the book that told him all the scores, right, of the future of all the, you know, sports betting. See, that is what we have. We have that book. We're able to know exactly what this devil's gonna do because the Lord told us in the scriptures why he created him, how he created him to be. You know, when you read Wisdom of Solomon, the 2nd chapter, you see the intents of this devil's mind, of what's his mentality like. You see, so we can only put these things together and be like, yeah, this guy's up to something. Yeah, that's Esau with his technology. Yeah, he trying to deceive me here. That's why this is the stability of your times, because without this word, you're going to get caught up. You're going to get caught up and fooled by his technology. You're going to get caught up with his sorceries and witchcrafts, all right? And you're going to be caught up under his spell. Instead of being under delusion, you're pretty much going to be under delusion of Esau. You know, you're going to be under his delusions. And the Lord is what got Esau under his delusions, you see? See, we're not delusional at all. Because we're woke to the truth. You know, the Lord has given us that eyesight to have our eyes open to this. So there is no deceiving us. And as long as you stay prayed up, all right, the Lord is going to continue to reveal these things onto you. You see? But man, yo, some crazy ass technology out there. That's pretty much the point. All right, man, hold on. Let me just make sure I finished what I was reading. Oh, no, I didn't finish the 2 Thessalonians 2:9, right? And 10. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish because they receive not the love of the truth that they might be saved. For this cause, Yahweh shall send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. You see? And you want to have, you know, pleasure instead of walking in righteousness. Well, delusion is coming to you. All right. Like the Lord said, right? To the woman, what he say to the woman? That she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. Okay. Yeah. Well, you know, we're considered as the Lord's woman. So if you want to go out there and live in pleasure, all right, well, the Lord, you know, she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. You just as good as dead, all right? And when you're just as good as dead, the Lord will put a delusion on you and just let you be whatever the hell you want and believe in straight lies, you see? And that's why these people fall into these, you know, these sorceries, man. But, yeah, that's pretty much the point. I'm going to leave it there through the spirit. He said, I used to have a Nixon mask. Man, listen, bro. That shit wild out there. But I'm leaving there through the spirit. Lord willing that you were edified. Salaki, if I was all over the place, you know. The Lord willing, the message came out and it was understood through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. So with that being said, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Call Elohim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem, Barak Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who do well. Blessings and salutations to the whole full elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Aquat that was listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith, enduring as good soldiers of Yahweh. You sisters continue to learn the silence, watching the true men of the Lord. Keep throwing them prayers up that we get up out of here real soon. And Bible Ball. Shalom.